Hello, this is the presentation of Group 4. The topic is all about Rizal's life, exile, trial, and death. Jose Rizal's exile in Dapitan. Date of deportation, July 7, 1892. Reason kung bakit siya pumunta doon is because of publishing anti-Catholic and anti-friar books and articles, possession of subversive handbills, Pobres Frailes, advocacy for Philippine independence through his writings, immediate cause, found in incriminatory materials upon arrival in Manila, arrival in Dapitan, noong July 17, 1892, transport, steamer Cebu under heavy guard. Conditions: Rizal was offered residence in the parish convent. If he retract these statements against Spanish rule, he refused. Life in exile. Yung mga key activities na ginawa niya doon is practice medicine, treating locals for free, establish a school for boys, focusing on practical education, conducted scientific studies and civic projects like water systems and brick-making machines, continued literary and artistic works. Tapos yung mga contribution niya sa Dapitan is community development, improved infrastructure, promoted agriculture and commerce, education, established a school teaching languages, mathematics, and vocational skills. Medical practice niya is treated patients with various ailments.
Personal life in Dapitan. During his exile in Dapitan, Jose Rizal's personal life saw significant developments. He met Josephine Bracken, the daughter of a retired Hong Kong engineer. Together, they had one son. However, the child tragically died shortly after birth. Despite his isolation, Rizal maintained intellectual relationships, corresponding actively with European scholars such as Ferdinand Blumentritt. End of exile. Rizal's exile ended on July 31, 1896. He volunteered to serve as a military doctor in Cuba, which was suffering from revolution and an outbreak of disease. However, while en route to Barcelona, he was arrested. His departure from Dapitan marked the beginning of his final journey, which ultimately led to his martyrdom. Impact on Philippine history. Rizal's time in Dapitan demonstrated unwavering patriotism and commitment to service, even during imprisonment. His writings and action during his period continued to inspire future Filipino revolutionaries and contributed to the broader movement for national independence. Reflection. Rizal's years in Dapitan exemplify his resilience, intellect, and steadfast dedication to the progress and freedom of Filipino nation. Rizal's life and works in Dapitan. Dapitan is a remote town located in Mindanao, and during Rizal's time, it was under Jesuit jurisdiction. Jose Rizal lived there during his exile, which lasted from July 1892 to July 1896. Reasons for exile. Rizal's deportation into Dapitan occurred on July 7, 1892. Several key reasons led to this exile. First, his founding of La Liga Filipina, a progressive organization aiming for peaceful reforms, alarmed Spanish authorities. Second, he was found in possession of what they considered subversive materials, which further fueled suspicion. The immediate cause, however, was his alleged involvement in early rebellion activities, although there was little concrete evidence against
Rizal's life and works in Dapitan. He engaged in diverse activities like teaching, farming, and medicine, while also contributing to the town's infrastructure and community development. Here's a more detailed look at Rizal's life and works in Dapitan. Number 1. Establishing a model community. So Rizal established a school and dormitory for boys, aiming to provide education and leadership training to the youth of Dapitan. He also built a hospital where he practiced his medical skills, treating the sick and injured of the town. He also cultivated a 34-hectare farm in Katipunan, Zamboanga del Norte. So, Jose Rizal established this to uplift the community through education, healthcare, and agriculture. Number 2, community development and infrastructure. So, Rizal designed and built a dam and waterworks system para ma-ensure na may sapat na water supply, and he also built street light to ensure then that the people's town are safe and to improve their quality of life or living in Dapitan. Number 3, scientific and intellectual pursuits. So, Rizal pursued science and learning in Dapitan through archaeology, biological research, and language studies. So, Rizal's passion for science led him to conduct archaeological excavation, unearthing pre-colonial artifacts, and adding to the understanding of the region's history. He also collected biological and botanical specimens, contributing to the science knowledge and having a few specimens named after him. His linguistic skills were also evident as he studies Visayan and Malayan languages. Number 4, personal life and relationship. So Rizal has a romantic relationship with Josephine Bracken during his time in Dapitan. So, despite sa exile ni Rizal maintained a strong sense of purpose and continued to pursue his passions and contribute to the well-being of the community around him.
Romantic affair with Josephine Bracken. Introduction to Josephine Bracken. Full name, Marie Josephine Leopoldine Bracken. Birth, August 9, 1876 in Hong Kong to Irish parents. Background, adopted by her blind godfather George Toffer. Connection to Rizal. Came to Dapitan in 1895 seeking treatment for her adoptive father's blindness. Meeting in Dapitan. First encounter, February 1895, when Toffer sought Rizal's medical expertise. Romance begins. Toffer opposed the relationship but eventually relented. Image suggestion. Artistic depiction of their meeting or a map of Dapitan. Life together in Dapitan. Cohabitation. Lived as common law partners starting July 1895 in Barangay Talisay, Dapitan. Marriage attempts. Unable to marry due to Rizal's conflict with the Catholic Church. Tragedy. Had a son, Francisco Rizal Y. Bracken, who died shortly after birth. Challenges in the relationship. Religious barriers. Marriage was denied by the church unless Rizal retracted his political views. Family oppositions. Some members of Rizal's family did not fully accept Josephine. Emotional struggles. Rizal blamed himself for an accident that may have caused complications during Josephine's pregnancy.
Romantic affairs with Josephine Bracken. Alleged marriage before execution. The event was hours before Rizal's execution on December 30, 1896. They were allegedly married by Jesuit priest Vincent Balanguet. The marriage is diffused due to lack of documentation and conflicting accounts from witness and family members. Josephine's life after Rizal's death. Assisted Filipino revolutionaries in Cavite after Rizal's execution. Forced to leave by Spanish authorities, returned to Hong Kong. Later on, Josephine married Vincent Abad in 1898 and had a daughter, Dolores Abad Y. Bracken. Rizal and the Katipunan. Formation of the Katipunan. It was founded July 7, 1892 after Rizal's arrest and exile to the Dapitan. This katipunan's purpose was to achieve independence from Spain through armed revolution. The katipunan was founded by Andres Bonifacio, Teodato Arellano, Teodoro Plata, and others. It was soon passed down to La Laguila, Filipina, an organization established by Rizal's advocate for peaceful reforms.
Rizal's influence on the Katipunan. Members of La Liga Filipina joined the Katipunan after its dissolution. Rizal was named honorary president of the Katipunan despite his opposition to armed revolution. Passwords used in initiation rites included Rizal and Gomburza, showing his symbolic importance. Attempt to gain Rizal's support. Visit by Pio Valenzuela, June 1896, sent by Bonifacio to seek Rizal's advice on launching a revolution. Rizal's response opposed the revolution, citing lack of preparation and resources, suggested persuading wealthy Filipinos for funding and appointing Antonio Luna as military leader instead. Divergence in ideals. Rizal's approach advocated for reforms through education, peaceful negotiation, and representation in the Spanish Parliament. Katipunan's approach focused on armed revolution as the only path to independence. Initiated the Philippine Revolution in August 1896 following discovery by Spanish authorities. Legacy of Rizal in the Katipunan. Jose Rizal, symbol of peaceful reform and intellectual resistance. His writings inspired Filipino nationalism. Katipunan is catalyst for armed struggle that led to eventual independence from Spain. The revolutionary ideals shaped Philippine history. The proceedings and trial. Introduction to trial. Trial began on December 6, 1986 and concluded on December 26, 1896 at Cuartel de España, Manila. Rebellion, sedition, and conspiracy against the Spanish government. Image suggestion, map or photo of Cuartel de España. Trial proceedings, court composition, a Spanish military court. Defense, Luis Traviel de Andrade acted as Rizal's defense attorney. Rizal defense maintained innocence, stating he had not engaged in political activities during his exile. Image suggestion, photo of Traviel de Andrade or a depiction of the trial. Evidence presented. Documentary evidence, 15 exhibits were presented. Testimonial evidence provided by several witnesses including Martin Constantino and Pio Valenzuela. Image suggestion, photo of the documents or a list of witnesses. Legacy of the trial, impact on Philippine history, Rizal's trial and execution galvanized the Philippine Revolution. Symbolism, Rizal became a martyr for the cause of independence. Image suggestion, photo of Rizal's monument on a symbol of Philippine independence.
So, let's discuss about Rizal's pronouncement and journey toward his patriot deathbed. On December 29, 1896, at 6 a.m., Jose Rizal's verdict was read by Captain Rafael Dominguez, sentencing him to be shot the next day at 7 a.m. at Luneta de Bagumbayan, or also known as Rizal Park. At 7 a.m., Rizal was moved to a chapel cell decorated with religious images to encourage his return to Catholicism. His first visitors included Father Miguel Pavera and Visa. At 8 a.m., Father Visa was replaced by Father Antonio Rosel, who joined Rizal for breakfast, followed by Luis Tevi de Andrade. At 9 a.m., bumisita si Father Federico Faura kay Rizal. Siya ang nag-predict na magkakaroon ng masamang result yung mga sinulat ni Rizal sa No Limitang Here. Dahil dito, sinabi ni Rizal na, "Ama, ikaw talaga isang makata." Then, at 10 a.m. naman, Father Jose Villaclara and Estanislao March came to see Rizal, followed by Spanish journalist Santiago Matei of El Heraldo Madrid. From 12 to 3:30 p.m., Rizal was alone in his cell. Doon, kumain siya ng tanghalian, sumulat ng mga liham at malamang ay inumpisahan yung kanyang huling tula na Mi Ultimo Adios na may 14 na saktong. Isinulat niya ito sa maliit na piraso ng papel at itinago sa kalan ng alkohol. Yung tula ay pumuri sa mga revolusyonaryo sa kanilang tapang na sinasabing ibinibigay nila ang kanilang buhay ng walang pag-aalinlangan ng walang kalungkutan. Noong 4 p.m., bumisita si Chodora Alonso, yung ina ni Rizal, kasunod ang kanyang kapatid na si Trinidad at iba pang miyembro ng pamilya nila. Bumulong si Rizal kay Trinidad tungkol sa isang bagay sa kalan ng alkohol, habang hindi nakapasok si Leoncio Lopez Real, ang anak ni Narcisa. Ibinigay ng mga opisyal ang kalan kay Narcisa matapos ang pagbisita ng pamilya. Bumalik sina Father Villaclara at Estanislao March kasama si Father Rosel sa selda ni Rizal. Around 10 p.m., unang tinanggihan ni Rizal ang mahabang draft ng retraction mula kay Archbishop Nozaleda, ngunit tinanggap ang mas maikling mula kay Father Pio P. Sumulat siya ng kanyang sariling retraction na itinatakwil ang masonerya at mga anti-Catholic na paniniwala. Ngunit hanggang ngayon, ang dokumento ay kontrobersyal at may ilang scholar na nagsasabing ito ay peke. Noong Disyembre 30, 1896 naman, mga 3 a.m., nakadalo si Rizal sa misa, nagkasal at tumanggap ng banal na komunyon. Matapos ang kanyang huling agahan ng 5:30 a.m., nagbigay siya kay Josephine Brackett ng isang kopya ng Imitation of Christ na may pirma. At 6 a.m., Rizal wrote farewell letters to his parents, expressing regrets to his father for the pain he caused, and a brief message to his mother signing off as Jose Rizal. Nung 6:30 a.m. naman ng 1896, isang trompeta ang tumawag para sa death march ni Rizal patungong Bagong Bayan. Kalma siyang naglakad kasama ang kanyang abogado at dalawang paring Heswita. Tumaan sila sa Postigo Gate, dumakad patungo sa Malecon at umabot sa damuhang lugar sa tabi ng Manila Bay sa pagitan ng dalawang poste ng ilaw. Lastly, si Rizal ay nagpaalam kina Father March at Villaclara at sa kanyang tagapagdepensa na si Lieutenant Luis Tevel de Andrade. Pilinis siya ng isa sa mga pari at inalok ng krus na halikan. Hiningi ni Rizal na siya ay barilin na nakaharap sa firing squad, subalit tinanggihan ito at inutusan silang barilin siya sa likod. Si Dr. Felipe Ruiz Castillo, siya ang Kastilang military physician na kumuha ng kanyang pulso at nagulat ito na normal.
Now, let's move on to Rizal's death. December 30, 1896 at Bagong Bayan, now we called it Rizal's Park in Manila. Reason why Rizal's death? Because it orders by Spanish colonial authorities, because Rizal inspired the Philippine Revolution through his writings, the two novels which is No Limitangere and El Filibusterismo, exposing Spanish abuses. It cast off not directly involved in the armed revolution. Rizal's advocacy for reform, equality, and nationalism treated Spanish rule. He was accused by sedition, rebellion, and conspiracy. Carried out by a Filipino firing squad under Spanish command, with the Spanish captain shouting "Fuego," which is he shout fire. Instead of ending the nationalist
Instead of ending nationalist movement, Rizal's death inspired stronger resistance and made him a national hero. Now let's move on to Rizal's being a convicted criminal was not facing the firing squad. Normally, convicted criminals were made to face away from the firing squad as a sign of shame and dishonor. However, Rizal showed courage and dignity even his final moment. When he was shot, he made an effort to turn around so he could face his executioners and die facing the sky, a symbol of honor and peace. Before he died, he whispered, "Consummatum est." Latin word, it stands for finish, meaning he had completed his mission and accepted his death. His actions showed that he was not ashamed. Instead, he died as a hero, proud and brave, which inspired many Filipinos to continue fighting for freedom. After Jose Rizal was executed on December 30, 1896, the Spanish authorities buried his body secretly at the old unused Paco Cemetery to avoid public attention and possible protest. They did not mark his grave properly, trying to erase his memory and prevent him from becoming a symbol of resistance. However, Narcisa Rizal, Jose Rizal's sister, searched for his body that same afternoon when he died. She discovered where it had been buried. To honor him quietly, she asked the cemetery guard to let her place a marble plaque over the grave. The plaque was designed by Doroteo Junco and contained Rizal's initial in reverse, RPJ, to secretly mark his resting place without angering the Spanish authorities. It happened because Rizal's family wanted to honor and remember him, even though the Spanish tried to hide his grave. Let's move on. After the U.S. takeover of Manila. After the U.S. takeover of Manila on August 17, 1898, the Spanish colonial rule ended. With the Spanish gun, Filipinos finally had the freedom to properly honor their heroes. Rizal remains were exhumed or dug up from his hidden grave in Paco Cemetery. His bones were carefully washed to show respect and placed in the ivory urn crafted by artist Romualdo Teodoro de Jesus. Since there was still no official national shrine for him yet, the urn was kept safe in the house of his sister Narcisa. It stayed there until 1912 when Rizal's remains were finally moved to a national monument built in his honor. It happened because after Spanish control ended, Filipinos were free to honor Rizal properly, and his family preserved his remains until a national monument was ready. On December 29, 1912, the urn containing Jose Rizal's remains was transferred from Estrada Street in Binondo, Manila, to a more prominent location. A procession led by Masons, a fraternal organization with ties to Rizal, and the Knights of Rizal, an organization dedicated to his memory, carefully escorted the urn to the Marble Hall of the Ayuntamiento de Manila, which was a government building. The urn stayed overnight in the hall, with Knights of Rizal standing guard to ensure its safety and it show reverence. This event marked the beginning of preparing for Rizal's official public recognition as a national hero. On December 13, 1912, a solemn procession took place to move Rizal's urn to its final resting place. This was the anniversary of his execution, and it was chosen as the day to honor him properly. The urn was taken to the base of the soon-to-rise national monument dedicated to Rizal, located in Rizal Park, formerly Bagong Bayan. This event marked the official reburial of Rizal's remains in the public and significant way, recognizing his importance as a national hero.
And next, December 30, 1913, the Rizal National Monument at the Luneta was inaugurated. Its original design name was Moto Stella, Guiding Star, and was made by Swiss sculptor Dr. Richard Kisling, who earlier also made the national monument to William Tell, the national hero of Switzerland. And at December 30, 2012, the transfer of the remains of Rizal's from Binondo to the site of the Rizal Monument was recreated 100 years later by the order of the Knights of Rizal's and the National Historical Commissions of the Philippines in commemorations of Rizal's 116th martyrdom anniversary. Next is Mi Ultimi Adios or Huling Likha and greatest poem written ni Jose Rizal before he was executed. December 29, 1896. This poem is considered as a priceless gem to the Philippine literature. The poem was given by Rizal to his sister at the eve of his execution. Rizal gave to his sister, Trinidad, the alcohol stove through the guard and said, "There is something inside."
Mi ultimo adios, my last farewell. Mi ultimo adios, my last farewell was Rizal's last and greatest poem written before he was executed, December 29, 1896. This poem is considered as a priceless gem to the Philippine literature. So, ano nga ba yung last poem na ginawa ni Jose Rizal bago siya ma-execute? Yung nilalaman ng Mi Ultimo Adios is about farewell to his beloved Philippines, his family, and his friends. It expresses his love for his country, his hopes for its future, and his willingness to sacrifice his life for its freedom. The poem was given by Rizal to his sister at the eve of his execution. So bago pa siya mamatay, binigay niya na sa kapatid niya yung poem. Paano ba? Di ba nakakulong siya? Rizal gave to her sister Trinidad the alcohol stove through the guard and said there is something else. So ginamit niya yung bote ng alak, sinuksok niya doon yung poem, then binigay niya sa kapatid niya para hindi siya paghinalaan ng mga nagbabantay sa kanya.